want to show you real quick a scene from the Ten Commandments. Can you play this here? This is, I love this movie. I remember as a kid watching it in front of our Magnavox TV every Good Friday. Okay, remember this? What is that? That's the pillar of fire. Fire plays such an important role in the Moses story. Moses in the burning bush, but the bush never catches on fire, right? It doesn't ever catch fire. The fire consumes only untruths. Fire doesn't consume the Israelites. It doesn't consume Moses. It can consume and stop the Pharaoh. The fire is truth. Stand in the truth. And if you're not telling the truth, as the losers in yesterday's election found out, I mean, that fire is going to consume you. I mean, I don't want to bring you the news I do every day. I don't. I'm just a dad. I love my country, and I wish that magic economy fairies could fly out people's ears and sprinkle magical job dust all over everybody and save us, but it ain't going to happen. Reality is the truth. And the truth is that things are getting worse in the economy, not better. But there's good news. Let me show you, show the seal, please. Okay, see the Pharaoh? Here's the pillar of fire. This is one of the suggested seals from the United States, only suggested by Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, both heathens. Here's the good news. They got it then. I read one of their letters from 2023 where they said, people, when it collapses, when it falls apart, the people will remember what we did and they'll build it better than we had it. This is what they want you to remember. The truth of God, the truth is a fire that will consume everything that's not true. Here's some truth from BusinessInsider.com. Watch these. Suddenly, everybody's in the crash camp, not just the bear camp. Uh-oh, not good. Before the liberal bloggers blame me for this, I'd like to remind the Huffington Post and Media Matters that according to you guys, I've lost all my audience, so I'm not sure how I'm stirring up fear in the country. Next one. Newsletter writers, hedge fund managers, journalists, bloggers, technicians, fundamental analysts, economists, and strategists are all joining the crash camp left and right. Remember, we're talking about a crash. Business Insider, not Glenn Beck. There's also a CNBC poll. Now, this is just people that were reading CNBC on the internet. CNBC had a poll where 36% of respondents think the Dow will drop to 5,000 this year. That's almost 40%. Stock market sliced in half. CNBC, fearmongers. Richard Russell, editor of the Dow Theory Letters, who wrote of a possible major crash if the Dow Jones Industrial Average falls below 10,380, the closing price on May 7th. He and others are watching for the pattern of a big drop like May 6th, followed by a brief but failed rally and then another sell-off. Uh-oh. Wall Street guru Jeremy Grantham now says Standard & Poor's 500 stock index was about 40% overvalued and warned of a coming bubble. Uh-oh, trouble. Star hedge fund manager Seth Klarman addressing the CFA Institute's annual conference saying, quote, given the recent run-up, I'd be worried that we'll have another 10 years of zero returns. Everything is being manipulated by the government. Wow, that kind of sounds like me where I said, nothing is as it seems. He goes on, quote, I'm more worried about the world broadly than I've ever been in my whole career. Raoul Pal, global macro investor, formerly of Goldman Sachs, also sees the market turning. He says he has a specific time frame in mind. He wrote that the crash could take place within 2 days or 2 weeks. I don't know if any of this is going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. I hope they're wrong. I hope they're wrong. But blinders are being put on you, okay? The people with real power and money know. That is why all this framework in Washington is being put together. That's why they're all saying about, wait till you see what I have for you next. That's why they're all laying out their plans right now. But too many Americans aren't paying attention to it, and you're going to be backed into a corner. You're not going to be able to see what's coming. You won't be able to do anything about it. The only solace I can take in all of these economists coming, on board is that all of these experts have been wrong so many times before. I'm just hoping that they just continue the pattern. And I know I'd be in the wrong camp too, but I'd rather have that. You're going to be presented with two answers. Two answers. When things, if things, start to spiral out of control. I'm going to give both to you, and you decide which one you want. Next.
The polls say one thing, NBC says another. Find out the truth about immigration. Next.
Wienerfacts.com, or still people are trying to barrel in and get all famous wiener facts and new wiener facts about Congressman Wiener. Famous wieners in our life. Check it out. So, we're in trouble. And you know this. Everybody knows this. If you're paying attention, you want to face the facts. You know it. You see the fires in Bangkok and Greece. I mean, the markets know something is coming. And we're going to be presented with two options. We're going to be presented with two options. And here they are. We can get back to the Constitution, we can get back to the churches, we can get back to the founders, and we can reduce the size of our government. We can run things much better locally, closer to each of us, in our neighborhoods and in our states, and reduce the size of this monstrosity in Washington. Now, there is another option, and that is, let's go global. Let's go with a global redistribution of wealth. Now, you may not consider yourself wealthy, but the world does. Did you know that if you make $30,000 a year, you are in the wealthiest 7% of the world? Let's talk to somebody who makes $30,000 a year and tell them that. And say the rest of the world says you're greedy. You're a greedy, evil, rich American. $30,000 a year. 7%. So now, the rest of the world should just reap some of those windfall profits. Well, you know, I just take those and just bring them on over to the world, because the rest of the world is suffering. Let me show you the direction of the power players, the uber rich, the connected, our leaders. Where should we be headed next? Watch.
Although tonight I speak to you not as a candidate for president, but as a citizen, a proud citizen of the United States and a fellow citizen of the world.
We created global trade, we created global finance, we created global companies, but we forgot to create a global government.
You really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order.
And we need global regulation.
As students, as workers, or as global citizens.
That will drive the change is through global governance.
Yes, we can heal this nation. Yes, we can repair this world.
Okay, so I think, and I mean, we go on for a long time. You go ahead and compile those bits for us on anybody talking about global nation, and we'll put them up. Maybe we'll put them up on Wiener Facts. I don't know if he's a globalist. We're in the middle of a global economic crisis now, and those in power feel that the best option is to have some form of global cooperation. I like Soros saying New World Order, though, don't you? Now, if you do that, the whole world needs to point their finger at somebody, blame it on somebody. Well, who's being set up as the bad guy in all of this? And I think this country has a president helping it along with an apology tour.
In America, there's a failure to appreciate Europe's leading role in the world. There have been times where America's shown arrogance.
We sometimes make mistakes. We have not been perfect.
I know the promises of partnership have gone unfulfilled in the past. At times we've sought to dictate our terms.
I would like to think that with my election and the early decisions that we've made, that you're starting to see some restoration of America's standing in the world.
Unfortunately, faced with an uncertain threat, our government made a series of hasty decisions. The United States is still working through some of our own darker periods in our history. Our government was defending positions that undermined the rule of law. Don't be discouraged that we have to acknowledge potentially we've made some mistakes.
Okay, so you got global structure, you got the bad guy. I mean, because this is we were just over in China, apologizing to China. Okay, America is the villain. You've got Greece right now. Greece is saying maybe we should sue the American banks. Well, what's the best way to make up for all the horrible atrocities that America has made in the past with a global government? What could we do?